You know what I really want? I'm going to go on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. I want like a big mounted fish right there. Like a big old sea bass or something to hang up, like a marlin. How much do you think I could get a mounted fish for?
You know, it depends on who's selling it, right? But like,
well, now I know what I'm doing.
Hell yeah. I mean, you gotta find it.
What were those old, when you had the talking fish where you'd push the button? Take me to the river.
What was that called?
Big mouth, I think it was like big mouth Billy Bass.
Billy. Yeah, right.
I'm just getting one of those. I'm gonna get so many mounted fish, it's gonna be ridiculous.
Replica mahi.
I don't want a replica. I don't want a fake fish. I want a real fish that was in the ocean at some point. People will know if I've got the real deal or if I've got some sort of plaster replica. And that's my reputation right there.
Here's a white marlin fish, 58 inches, $179. When's your birthday?
March 20th.
There's
coming
an
up.
Easy gift from your parents, your loving parents.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say that you were gonna get it for me. Yeah. This is Basketball Friends. I am Nick Schwerdt. He is Matt Tait. KU beats K-State 74-51 on Tuesday. Really, their first convincing win since beating TCU back in early January. I know nobody is going to say that Kansas is back after beating one of maybe the worst high major teams in all of college basketball this year, but it at least feels like a step in the right direction.
Back to the starting five for Kansas. They've tinkered with the lineup the last couple of games in a couple of different ways, right? It's very clear, though, I think right now that Coach Self has identified his five guys.
Yeah, so he tinkered and ended up back where he started. It's like any great love story, right? If you love them, set them free. Right? How many times have you seen a romantic comedy? It feels like this perfect love story. Everything is great, sunshine and roses at the beginning. And then at some point, the relationship hits a rocky stretch. I think we should start seeing other people. Bill Self took Tyon Grant Foster out on a date, right? He went to a movie with DeJuan Harris. But you know what happened? He landed back with his one true love. This starting five, these are the guys that he wants to rock with this year.
Hey man, I've seen hundreds of romantic comedies and I'm not afraid to admit it. And there's always a secret, right? Like when are they gonna find out?
Yeah.
She's gonna know, or whatever it is. And that's the thing with this Kansas team. There's no secret here. It's total transparency. It's five starters and a bench. I think they maybe hoped and thought that Tyon Grant Foster could become that type of player for them, but he's not there yet, and they're running out of time. Garrett, Abaji, Brown, Wilson, and McCormick, those are the guys who will determine how this season goes down in history. I know that sounds dramatic, but that's really it.
In all of those romantic comedies, there's always the best friend that goes to the guy or the girl and is trying to convince them not to get back with the old fling, right? With your ex-lover. What do you see in him? So if you're playing the best friend and you're asking Bill Self, what do you see in this lineup? Like, what is his answer? Why do you think it's this lineup that he keeps wanting to go back to?
It's their best players. Five guys who have proven that they can be the leading scorer any night. Individually, they all have potential for great things. And if ever they could all put those things together on the same night, for the same stretch over a 4 or 5 game period, this team could be pretty good still.
When you ask Bill Self or any of these players about where they've been struggling as of late and where they need to get better, they've all pointed to the defensive end of the court. You look at some of their numbers, some of the advanced metrics, they would all indicate that this team is better defensively than they are offensively. You know what Bill Self likes. He wants his team to pride themselves on their defense. I think they can all coexist. While the struggles have come on offense, the identity lies with their defense. This is never going to be a 2018 Kansas offensive team. This is never going to be a team that's spreading the floor, knocking down jumpers all night. This is never going to be a team that's going to be prolific at getting inside and getting those easy buckets at the rim. They can get better offensively, and they need to get better offensively if they want to make some sort of a run in March. But ultimately, their identity is going to be, best case scenario, that they are one of the top 10, 15 defenses in the country, which I think is obtainable.
So what I just heard you say is that they need LeGerald Vick.
That's exactly what I was saying. Yes.
That's okay.
Thank you for reading in between the lines there.
He said that this team is a little too emotional still at times. He said, when a guy checks out or is sub 4, it kind of deflates them a little bit. Or when they're not playing well individually, they get down a little bit. And he even went as far as to use his favorite word. And he said that's kind of a sign of softness. That's something that he has kind of avoided doing this season so far. And the fact that he's willing to do it now, I think he says, hey, the stakes are higher, fellas. Let's play ball. You're my 5. Go play right, go play well, and stop being soft.
Okay, so you took care of business against a bad team. You did what you were supposed to do. You now have, I think, 5 games that are very critical in determining which way this season's going to go. 3 of those 5 games come against Iowa State and then Kansas State again. But the next 2 games, against West Virginia on Saturday and then against Oklahoma State next Monday, I feel like will go a long ways towards determining what kind of season this is going to be. Because if you can somehow come out of those 2 games 2-0, and then assuming you're going to win the next 3 against back-to-back with Iowa State and then Kansas State, you're talking about a 6-game winning streak going to the home stretch of this season. Based off the way you played in the month of January, I feel like the tone and the vibe around this team is going to feel a lot different than it feels right now.
That, I think, would be an indication that they're back, and they would be all the way back then. I mean, you'd get to the point where you look at those last 3 games of the regular season then as winnable, even Baylor.
By the way, I'm sorry it took so long into this video to mention this, but did you get a new haircut?
Yeah, today.
Wow. One of my hidden talents is that if you get a new haircut in the next 24 to 48 hours, I will notice it and I will compliment.
How about with women? That's a little more dangerous, right? Do you risk it?
Absolutely not. All right, it's time for another edition of Name That Player. It's a very simple game. I give you a quote from Bill Self in which he is talking about either a current or a former Kansas basketball player. Matt, it is your job to tell me which player Bill Self is referencing. So far this season, you are 0-3. The haters and the losers out there think that you're never going to get off the schneid. They think you're never going to get one of these right. I think they're crazy. This is a big one, man. It's time to silence the haters. Your quote for today. Quote, he is the best guard that we have ever recruited, and he could not start at Kansas until he was a junior. He was a bad man. Matt, name that player. Your silence is deafening, Matt.
I know. The answer is Sharon Collins.
Hey, he did it. Congratulations. The first career victory. Cherish this moment, my man.
Sharon played the game like I think Self wants every player that he ever coaches to play the game. That dude's a bad man, and he was such a great player. You got a favorite Sharon moment?
How about the game winner by Sharon in Manhattan against K-State? He hits that driving contact layup at the end of the game to win. He had so many of those. I'll remember a game against Cornell. You remember this game? Cornell comes into Allen Fieldhouse. It was the same year they went to the Sweet 16, but at the time, nobody knew this was a Sweet 16 team. At the time, everybody thought, are you kidding me? Cornell has Kansas on the ropes in Allen Fieldhouse? Until they didn't. Until Sharon Collins decided, nah, I'll go ahead and put this game away. I've never seen a guy, he did it at Oklahoma, I think 2010, that same year. Like when Sharon decided the game was going to be over, that to me will be the biggest legacy of Sharon. You mentioned playing the game the right way. He was just the ultimate competitor.
I think Frank was that guy too. He just didn't have the self-confidence. He wasn't as outgoing and as loud about it as he became as a senior. But Sharon was that way from minute one. There's just a million stories you can bring up about that guy. But I'm just glad I got it right, man. That's the main thing. I'm glad I got it right. I think that was probably easy.
Hey, a win's a win, man. Okay? I don't care if it's an ugly win. You take it, you move on. 1-3 on the season. Take that, haters. The comeback train starts today.
That trivia question was KU versus K-State on Tuesday. Did what I had to do and won by 24 points.
Actually, I think it was 23.
Damn it.